Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many friendly faces. It brings me particular joy to welcome you to Brooklyn. You already heard about Jay-Z's helicopter, and I needed it this morning to get here. But it is such a pleasure to have you all here. I want to start off by thanking Rafat for choosing New York City as the home for this amazing forum, and we couldn't be more proud to have you all here. So welcome to New York. If you're a visitor, we hope you get to enjoy our great city. If you're a resident, I encourage you to explore something new in Brooklyn and share it. Because there has never been a better time for tourism in New York City, and there's never been a better time for New York City itself. So this amazing venue that we are in today, the Dugal Greenhouse, is part of what we are calling the new New York City. And we've been on a press tour the last year talking about all the amazing new product that's come to this destination. We've had the most active hotel development pipeline in the country. We've added over 40,000 hotel rooms. About 25,000 more rooms are on the way. And we've added amazing, iconic, world-class attractions like the One World Observatory and the new Whitney Museum and the High Line and the Brooklyn Bridge Park just down the road here. I encourage you to go and explore all of those because they're spectacular. We've also made investments in our transportation structure, and I hope you get to see some of that when you're here. If you're going to attend an event at Javits now, we have a brand new 7-line that opens up right in front of the building. It's like the Emerald City. When my staff and we came out of there, it was a remarkable arrival experience and one we haven't had in New York for some time. So the far west side is now connected to the rest of the city in a spectacular new fashion. And I got the chance the other day to go down in the ground. This is one of those secrets of New York kind of documentary experiences, and walk the new 2nd Avenue subway line. It's still under construction. It was a remarkable experience. I wish I could take you all with me, but it's the first subway line to open in our city in 80 years. So we're making investments, we're growing as a destination, and some of our best years are still ahead of us. So welcome to New York. Rafat asked me to talk today about the future of marketing for iconic tourism brands. And in New York City, this is about as an iconic a destination as you can find. So I'm going to talk today about my perspective on the future of marketing for iconic destinations as a destination marketer. Now, one of the reasons I became a destination marketer was because I have had a lifelong passion for storytelling. And as destination marketers, we have often played the role of storyteller. And for many, many years and for many generations, that was an A to B conversation. Today, we don't live in an A to B world. So as destinations, we have to adapt. And so that's some of the points that I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to share with you some of the ways that we have experimented with that notion. And there are 3 central ideas that I want to share with you. The one is about shared voices. And I have some examples of how we've been playing with that idea in this great laboratory that is New York City. The second one is borrowed voices. And I have some other examples about that. And the power that lies in borrowed voices, especially for certain demographic segments. And the last one is the search for deeper, authentic engagement. And in particular, the way technology is going to help us do that. So those are 3 ideas that I want to explore with you today. But one of the challenges for iconic brands is often familiarity. People know us very well. People know New York City from books, from movies, from songs, from stories from friends, the great rite of passage ethos that is New York City. And that familiarity can oftentimes breed indifference. And one of our challenges as a destination marketer is to create urgency. Yeah, I have New York City on my bucket list. I'm going to go someday. Well, how do we get them to move up that list? How do we become the next destination that they choose? And if you know a destination too well and it's in your home, and let's face it, we were the 5th character in Sex and the City. You know, the city of New York was a character in that show. So it brought familiarity and built our brand and awareness around the world, but it also made people feel like they already knew what we were about. And those of you that are visiting, I hope you experience that, you know what, there are so many facets to this great city. So these are some of the ideas that I'm going to explore with you today. And we're very fortunate to live in a remarkable city that is so multicultural, so diverse, the largest city in the country, but also the most dynamic. So it's a great laboratory for us to explore some of these trends, and that's what I'm going to explore with you today. One of the things I also want to toss out is, and I don't have the answer to this yet, but it's something that I would love to explore with many of you later today and at this conference, is the notion of official. And we're guilty of of using it. We use it all the time. We as destinations like to say we're official, but we live in the world of authenticity now, right? Authenticity is king. What does it mean to be official? And I would say that we should strive to be more the authentic guide. Because I think that is what's going to resonate with consumers, especially young people, as we go forward. And young people are a target, and you're going to see that theme throughout what I talk about today, because young people are going to travel for a lifetime, and we need to get them hooked on our destinations as young people. So here we go. One of the first ways that we experimented with this idea was through a welcome campaign at our airports, using a very simple hashtag, "This is New York City." And it only appeared at JFK. What we found is that not only were visitors using it, because we were asking them, it was saying the messaging was "Welcome to New York, share your experiences with us." But we also found that locals began to use it as well. And some of it was comical, some of it was inspirational, a lot of it was beautiful imagery, but some of it was snarky, and some of it was sassy. Because you know what? That's what New York City is. It's raw, it's real. And we realized that, you know what? You cannot control all of the message all of the time. And as destination marketers, we're control freaks. I'm a Virgo, so I'm in particular a control freak. But as destination marketers, we have to learn to let go of our image, and we have to learn to let go of our voice, because we used to control it, but in this world, I would say to you, it's not only wrong to try to control it, but it's actually defeating the purpose that we're trying to create in inspiring inspiration in this new generation. So this is New York City, was this campaign, 15,000 posts right off the bat. Many of them visitors, but also many of them locals. They began to use this to talk about their passion for the city. One of the things that we realize is that we're in a city of very strong-minded individuals. New Yorkers have opinions, and they're often influencers, often bold influencers. And you know what? They come from all parts of the world. You know the notion of VFR, right? Visiting friends and relatives. This is a city where you can explore that market better than anywhere else in the world. 20% of our visitation comes from VFR in New York. So the more people talk, they talk in multiple languages, they share with their friends back home, share with their family that live in other cities, the more our brand begins to spread and the more inspiration begins to grow. So that was the first experiment. The next one was to realize that, okay, we have 8.5 million New Yorkers in the 5 boroughs, but there are more than 18 million people that live in the greater metro area, the largest, densest population in the United States. And as I said before, they're passionate. They have strong opinions. They're influencers. And you know what? They also don't explore their own city very much. It's interesting. You talk to someone who lives in Brooklyn and ask them the last time they went to Queens. You'll probably get I don't get to Queens very much. Or actually, I've never been to Queens. I fly out of the airports. I go to the US Open. But I haven't really explored Astoria, or I haven't really been to Flushing, some of the great new destinations. Tourists know them. In fact, our international markets are the ones that are exploring the 5 boroughs the most. They're intrepid travelers. We're trying to latch onto that notion and getting them to carry our message for us. Because where the international travelers go, guess who follows? The domestic travelers. It's really interesting. The Americans are the hardest ones to get on the public transportation system. But the international travelers will get on it every time. And in fact, in the strong dollar that we're experiencing this year, purchases of subway passes are up 13% for the international market. And that tells you a lot. They're exploring, but they're also looking for value. But back to see your city. So what we decided to do was, we realized we need a new definition of tourism. We need to allow ourselves to think more broadly about what tourism means. At the end of the day, tourism is about bringing new money into market, right? We're talking about bringing people from outside the market in to visit our destinations, and hopefully they will spend time and they will leave money with us. So, but what about getting people from Brooklyn to leave money in Queens? And people from the Bronx to leave money in Staten Island? Because if you're a cultural institution in one of the boroughs of New York City, you don't care where those people come from. You want someone through your turnstiles. If you're an attraction in Midtown, you want someone through your turnstiles. So we realized that, you know what, yes, we will always have the priority of talking to people outside of New York. International is our biggest priority. But what about those 18.5 million people that live right here? What if we got them to take one more day off? You know, U.S. Travel Association launched a new campaign called Project Time Off. And we're proud to be one of the coalition members behind that, encouraging Americans to spend more of their PTO, or their paid time off, on vacation. It makes your lives happier, makes your families happier, it improves your life. So we're encouraging New Yorkers, take a day off. Go and explore that hot new restaurant you've been wanting to see on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. Take a day off and go to the Empire State Building because you haven't been there in a while. You like that, Jean-Yves? I thought you might. So we have so many new destinations to explore, and we're so fortunate to have such an amazing, robust destination that we realized if we got New Yorkers to move around more, and we got them to talk about it, then we would win. And that's what See Your City is about. So guess what happened? 23,000 posts right out of the gate the minute See Your City was launched. New Yorkers have opinions, they like to share them. So we're seizing on that. We're now in our third iteration of See Your City. American Express is our partner, and we're so happy to have them with us on this journey. The latest edition was called See Your City Eats. And it was all about exploring the 5 boroughs, more than 30,000 restaurants in New York City, and using dining and your palate as a way to explore our great city and all it has to offer. So this has been a great experiment. And it is really about local tourism in combination with domestic tourism in combination with international. That's our new paradigm here in New York City. It's not just about people from outside the market, but getting people within it to explore more and to talk about it. And See Your City is one of those vehicles. In fact, my staff and I, we talk all the time about taking See Your City outside of the market, because the international travelers are looking for this exact content. They want to know where you eat. They want to know where you go. And so we're talking about a mechanism to take See Your City outside of the market, and I think that might be the next phase of this campaign. One other way that we are sharing our message and experimenting in this great laboratory that is New York is borrowed voices. So some of you may know that we chose Taylor Swift as our global welcome ambassador last year. Some people in New York thought that was funny. And it created a lot of excitement in the local market. But the reality was that Taylor was a recipe that we probably will never, ever be able to recreate again. So the backstory on it, and people always ask me this, so I will share it with you. And I apologize if you've heard it before, and Matt, I think you've heard it about 10 times, and so have you, Mike. But I'll tell it to you one more time because it is interesting, and I'll never get this experience again. But we were pitching the Country Music Awards to come back to New York. They hadn't been here in 10 years. They've been in Nashville, where they're very happy, but we like them to rotate through New York, and they like to rotate through New York too, so we're talking to them about coming back. And so they invited me down to Dallas to speak to their board. At dinner, I happened to be sitting across from a guy named Robert Allen, and we had a conversation, and he said, I have been spending a lot of time in your city, and I'm really enjoying it. I love what New York is about these days. I haven't been there in a long time. It's safe, it's clean. I'm exploring Brooklyn, it's hip, it's cool. And I said, what have you been doing? And he said, well, I manage Taylor Swift. And it's been her dream to move to New York City. And we've been looking for an apartment for 2 years for her, the right apartment. And we finally found it. And she's over the moon. And she's writing a new album. And in fact, she's decided to open the album with a song about this experience. And he said, if you know anything about Taylor, she writes about everything that happens to her. The good, the bad, the ugly, the love story, and the breakup. So he said, we should stay in touch. We exchanged business cards, and we did stay in touch. And in June of last year, he emailed me, and he said, well, guess what? The album is finished. And I told her about our conversation, and she wants to play the album for you. Would you come down to her apartment? Well, that was not, that took about 2 seconds to answer. And I said, I would be delighted to come down and to meet Taylor and to hear the song that she's been working on. And I got there, and I have to say, she is the classiest, smartest 25-year-old I've ever met in my life. It's not a surprise. She's an incredible talent and an incredible businesswoman, and she happens to really love this city. And this new album, she was transitioning from country to pop, was inspired by New York. And the song that she wrote is called Welcome to New York. And it is all about that starry-eyed optimism that you get the first time that you come here. I'll never forget, I grew up in Tennessee, and I moved here 13 years ago. And it was my dream to move here. And I'll never forget landing at LaGuardia, getting in the car and coming into the city. All my stuff had been shipped, and I had like one bag with me. And I thought, I'm home. I don't know why I felt that, but I thought, I am home. And this city engenders that in you. It really has an energy, and hopefully you all are feeling it while you're here. There's an energy that comes from the ground. There's an energy that comes from the people, and it's uniquely New York. And Taylor felt that, and she wanted to talk about it. And she told me that day, she played the song for me. She played it for me twice. And here's a funny thing. Think about this sometime. And I didn't know what to do while she was playing it for me. I thought, do I look serious? Do I tap my feet? Do I sing along? And the head of Dick Clark Productions was with me because we were also negotiating for her to perform New Year's Eve in Times Square. That was another dream of hers. And so he and I were together, and I thought, well, I'm going to follow his cue. He's the music guy. And he got into it, and he was like shaking his head. I was like, I can't do that. So I just looked at her, and she was looking at me, and she was singing along with herself. And she was envisioning herself standing in Times Square playing this on New Year's Eve. And she got to one point in the song, and she said, this is where the confetti blows. And I was like, I love it. I mean, she's so passionate, and she's such a visionary. She saw herself in Times Square on New Year's Eve. So she sold us that day. She sold us hard. And when the song was finished, she said, what do you think? And I said, I don't know what to say. It's so on brand for us. It's so magical and special. I said, I love it. And she said, I'm glad to hear you say that because I want you to have it. And she said, I want to work with you. I want to promote this amazing city, and I want you to have it for free. So she gave us the rights to the song. She gave us the rights to her image. And what we didn't realize was that she was on the verge of a global explosion. She was going from one of the biggest selling country music stars to the biggest pop star in the world overnight. And we didn't realize that we were hitching our wagon to a meteoric rise of one of the world's biggest pop stars. So it was a fortuitous meeting. It was a fortuitous thing that happened. It will probably never happen again. And on October 27th of last year, we launched this campaign, Welcome to New York with Taylor, live on Good Morning America. And it spread around the world like you would not believe. And what Taylor brought to us was an authentic love of New York as a new New Yorker, an outsider who came to our city and loved what she saw and wants to tell the world about it. She told David Letterman a couple of nights later, he said, so why did they do this? Are you getting paid? And she goes, no, they're not paying me at all. She said, they realize I'm the most obnoxious new New Yorker they could ever find. And they said, to get her to shut up, we're going to make her global welcome ambassador. And that's not quite what happened, but I'm glad that she positions it that way. But it was a remarkable story. And what Taylor did for us over the last year, and the partnership has ended now, was that she spoke to an audience of millennials. Young people in particular, about New York in an authentic way that they believe. And she shared with them her passion about this city and the authenticity and genuineness that it represents. And most people don't realize how large her social media footprint is. 1 in 18 Facebook followers in the world follows Taylor Swift. Think about that, 1 in 18. That's an amazing number. And whether you like her or you like her music, you have to respect the power and the voice that she represents. And so here she is in her own words about the authenticity and the genuineness of New York. And this is what she shared over the last year with the world.
I think what brought me to New York is still a little bit of a mystery to me. Every day I would wake up with this feeling like, I need to be in New York. New York kind of pulled me here like a magnet. I was intimidated by the fact that it was bright and bold and loud. And now I know that I should run towards things like that. I should run towards things that are absolutely overwhelmingly electric.
Welcome to New York.
There you have it. That's our message in a nutshell. So thank you. Now what do we do after Taylor Swift? You have to stay tuned. We're working on that. Another borrowed voice that we've used is to focus on the family segment. We go from Taylor to Dora. And why Dora? New York City for a long time was not considered a very family-friendly destination. Difficult to get around with strollers. Our hotels haven't always been built with double sleeping rooms or with connecting rooms for larger families. And so we weren't necessarily at the top of the list for family travelers. Family marketing is important. The family market is important to destinations. Ask Orlando, ask Disney, ask Universal, or any other destination that's tried to market to families. And one of the things we realized is that we were safer, cleaner, more new hotel product, more amazing attractions and cultural museums and, that were family friendly than ever before. We just needed to share that. And one of the ways we did that was through a borrowed voice. And we created a family ambassador campaign 7 years ago. Family travel, as a result, has grown 27% to New York City over that same period. We've had great brand ambassadors like the Sesame Street and the Smurfs and the Muppets, Curious George, Where's Waldo, all of them wanting to align themselves with our brand to promote this great city with great content and social media sharing. And Dora is the latest one. This is the new Dora, if you don't have a young person. We worked with the younger Dora before. This is Dora and Friends. And the cool thing about Dora is that she's brought a multicultural bilingual effort. So she's speaking in Spanish and in English about New York City to children all over the world through Nickelodeon. And it's a tremendous partnership, and it's a borrowed voice that we would not be able to do what we do without. So we're thankful to Nickelodeon, and we're thankful to Dora as well. Now the last thought I want to leave you with, because I'm just about to run out of time, is the notion of deeper authentic engagement and how technology is going to help us do that. And I'm excited to say that once again, we here in New York are going to be leading the way. I want to introduce you to Link NYC. Some of you may have heard about Link NYC. If you haven't, it's going to be an incredible game changer, not only for New York City, but for municipal marketing and technology around the world. We're the first city in the world to bring free, high-speed Wi-Fi to the streets of our city. Link is going to replace every one of the existing payphone units that you find throughout the 5 boroughs with one of these attractive 11-foot tall units. They're monetized with digital advertising, which is going to help pay for the system. But more importantly, each one of them emits a gigabit speed Wi-Fi signal, 20 times faster than we have in your home. You can download a movie in seconds with this system. You have to engage with the system one time, and then you have access to free Wi-Fi wherever you go in the city. By the end of this year, there will be close to 100 of these units on the streets. Within 3 years, there will be close to 7,000 of these across the city of New York, creating a virtual blanket of free Wi-Fi. That's a game changer, especially in a destination where international travelers crave internet connection. You know, right now you see our international visitors huddled in Starbucks, or you see them at MoMA or the Met or any museum that offers free Wi-Fi. Now they're going to be able to roam freely throughout our city, connected wirelessly with some of the fastest high speed in the world. So we are excited about this program. It's also going to have an Android tablet attached to it with free telephone calls anywhere in the United States. No more grimy handsets though. You're going to have to plug in your own head jack. But it's going to bring, I think, a whole new perspective to the way we market to visitors once they're here, to the way that they navigate. For the first time, you're going to be able to really do do-it-yourself tours throughout the city. I mean, I'm just imagining people wanting to go on the Jazz Trail in Queens. They're going to be able to use our system, download our new app that we're developing to go along with it, choose where they want to go. They're going to have a tour guide in their pocket. It's going to seamlessly lead them around the city. They're going to be able to listen to Louis Armstrong music while they're doing it. They're going to be able to buy a ticket to the Louis Armstrong house while they're on their way there, and then they're going to be able to share and post all along the way. And that's going to be done seamlessly and wirelessly and free through the Link system. So this is yes, thank you. I mean, this is, we can't take credit for this. This is the vision of the city's leadership, and it's been a long time in the coming, but look for every payphone that you see to be replaced by one of these units. So I will leave you with those thoughts. In the future of iconic marketing for iconic tourism brands is a bold frontier. And it's full of surprises. We have to be prepared for them. One thing I would say to my destination marketing colleagues out there is don't be afraid. In my pre-forum interview, Skift said that I quoted me as saying, DMOs must change or die. I don't think it's quite that radical, but we have to think more broadly about the way that we market. We have to think more broadly about messaging, and we have to not be afraid to let go. We can no longer control our message. No longer should we. Here in New York, it's a great laboratory to do that. And so those are my messages for you today. I hope you enjoy the forum. I hope these ideas were helpful to you. If I can answer any questions or be of assistance anytime, let me know. Thank you for visiting New York. Have a great time.